Hallelujah. It's been an awesome day, an awesome time. We had a powerful services today. First and second service was amazing. It was amazing. It's been a fruitful week. We just came back from Lagos on Lekki Church, wealthy place at number 2 Avera Street, Lekki. It was an amazing time, amazing moment. Today's topic, it's very informative. I want to draw your attention to something you must look out for a business person or somebody who wants to make serious impact in your business. So I want you to listen to me. I want you to pay attention. I want you to be extremely focused. I want you to share this link because some of the things we want to share in this section of dealing with change, some of them are pretty new. There are things we've never discussed, and I want you to pay serious attention. I want you to share this link. At the end, I'm going to be praying for you. That's number one. Then I like to know your location. I like to know where you are calling from. Then I have also received proposal from one of our viewers, and I'm looking at it on Power. I'm going to work with my team, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to advise. God is a good God. Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, I thank you for our viewers across the world. And I ask that everyone connected to this broadcast open their hearts, give them understanding, and let every part of the enemy be broken in the name of Jesus. At the end of this broadcast, we vow to return all the glory to you. In Jesus' precious name, we have prayed. Now, today's topic says dealing with change, transitions. Dealing with change. You know, as a business person, as somebody who wants to make impact in business, there are times the idea is right, the feasibility study is right, the proposal is right, but there is what I call unforeseen circumstance. Some of the things we did not envisage, some of the things we did not foresee. Some of these things have capacity to determine the outcome of a business. So some of those things are things I want to discuss right now so that you can begin to plan on how to navigate them and how to go through them. This is very important because economics will tell you all things being equal. Sometimes all things are usually not equal. Sometimes there are unforeseen circumstances, unforeseen challenges. So some of those things are things I want us to look at right now. You know, in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 1, it said, for everything there is a time. For everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. When the Bible says for everything there is a season, it means seasons change, seasons evolve, seasons change, they evolve, and all of that. So it's very critical and important that you know that seasons can change. Seasons can change. Seasons can evolve. Seasons have the capacity to change. Even in the days of Joseph, the Bible talked about the Pharaoh that knew not Joseph. So there was a Pharaoh that knew Joseph. When the Pharaoh that knew Joseph was reigning, the condition of the Israelites were different. They were well taken care of. They were nurtured. They had everything going on for them. But another time, another Pharaoh rose who did not know Joseph. And there was a ton of events. So these are two different seasons. So Even when Joseph was called to interpret the dream of Pharaoh, what he said was profound. He said there is 7 years of abundance. There's going to be another 7 years of famine. So what Joseph was simply saying there is that there's going to be a change of season. I want you to understand, I've witnessed a couple of transitions in Nigeria. I've witnessed the presidency of Olusegun Obasanjo. I've witnessed Yaradua. I've witnessed from the days of military though, but I'm talking about the democratic government. You realize that in certain season when a particular president is on board, there are a few individuals you term as powerful. You know, in the days of Obasanjo, we had like Wodo Jr., the Minister of Information. We heard about Dr. Obi Ezekwesili. We heard about Okonjo Iweala. There were some. We heard about the current governor of Anambra State, Chukwuma Soludo. So when Obasanjo left, Yaradua came, another group of persons came. When Yaradua passed, Jonathan came. We heard about Almighty Desiani. We heard about, so every season comes with certain people. You know, one of the scriptures I want us to read is Psalm 75 verse 6. Psalm 75 verse 6, because I want to give context to my discussion tonight from the word of God so that you can understand. He said, for promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. Verse 7. In verse number 7, he said, but God, who is the judge, but God is the judge. He putted down one and setted up another. So every season, throw up new billionaires, and sometimes some people disappear. So what transition does is that it creates new opportunities. Transition creates new opportunities. Season creates new opportunities. Now, while new opportunities are being created, also the players also changes. Today, we have the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You know, you have new names. You have new people coming on board, trying to navigate the economy and stable the politics. So that is how it is. That is how it works. That is how it is structured. Every transition comes with challenges. Every transition comes with opportunities. Some of the things you are calling challenges are actually opportunities if you can see. Some of the things we are looking at as challenges today are actual opportunities. Are you aware that every season has a way of imparting on existing structure? Some of the CNG buses that is being introduced in Nigeria and other parts of the world and Africa, are you aware that alone is a new market? While it's creating a new market, also is affecting the old market. Today, nobody talks about BlackBerry. Nobody talks about Nokia. Why? Because of Samsung. Because of iPhone. These are dynamics. These are new changes. As new season comes, some products, if they don't scale, can disappear. I had a discussion of one of the biggest microfinance banks in Africa, and I said to the visionaries, and I said, please think technology, think technology, think technology. Today, microfinance and some of these finance houses, you don't need to go to physical locations. Most transactions today are done online. At a time, there was need for physical locations. But offices now are on the internet space. Offices now are no longer in physical locations. Most offices today are majorly on the internet space. These are changes. How ready are you, a business person, for these changes that you can't do nothing about. The kind of business you are doing, the kind of planning you are currently putting in place, does this plan accommodate some of these inevitable changes? Some of these changes that has to happen, that must occur. How much are you synchronizing some of these changes into your product? You will not be smart not understanding that the only thing that is permanent itself is change. A lot of things are changing. For instance, the biggest businesses today is e-commerce. I don't need to come to your physical shop. I can sit in the comfort of my house and place an order and get whatever I have ordered for. That is where we are. The days of multiple plazas, shops, those days are gradually going. Today, people don't have physical shops. They display their products online. They put their products online. That is where we are. And how ready are we concerning some of these things? How ready are we? These changes are inevitable. These changes are inevitable. Ecclesiastes says, a time to born, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to harvest. He's using this to describe different seasons, different dispensations, different time. One time, Moses was in Egypt. Another time, he left Egypt. Another time, God says he should go back. Do you know that if you go to places you used to live 10 years ago, you will be so amazed how everything has changed? I went to one location where I lived about 30 years ago. I asked of this, is some of them are no more, some of them scattered in different countries. Many of them, one have joined the military, another one is in America, another one is in Germany. I went to another place where I used to live. I couldn't find anybody that I knew. That is the certainty of change. Change is inevitable. So as a business person, whatever I am doing, I must put in my plan. There should be windows for adjustment in case of changes, in case of unforeseen. There should be elastic. I must be deliberate to understand that these changes could occur. This is important. This is very vital. These changes, they are necessary. These changes, they are important. These changes, they are mandatory. These changes could happen. If we are not prepared for these changes, it could impact on everything that we have worked and labored for. So transition, it's very important in building a brand, in building a business, and in sustaining your brand and your business. So some of these transitions, they are inevitable. You know, in Genesis 26, if you read verse 18, the Bible says, and Isaac digged again the well of his father. But there's something significant. He hired servants. He employed new technology to be able to get water to come out of those wells. You know, many years ago, we used to have one funny television. That television was so big, after watching, you have a way of covering that TV. But for those who had it then, it was a symbol of status. And after a while, the television was remodeled. Have you seen the kind of televisions, TV sets that are being produced today? Some of them are smart TVs. Some of them are like papers. This is the transition of technology. Now, why is this important? If you don't understand timing and changes, what happens is that when a new product comes, many times it takes God and time for the old products to survive. When a new product comes, it takes God for the old products to survive. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, there were products we used to hear of a couple of years ago. Even some of the people born, the millennials, they don't even know those products because they didn't experience it. Most of those products are gone, completely gone out of market because some of the founders of those products were not conscious about technology transition. They were not conscious about the change that may occur. They were not conscious of many factors. We're going to be looking at likely changes that every business person must be aware. You know, one time I was going into a business agreement, and one of the clauses in that agreement was a force majeure. You know, a force majeure happens when there is a national disaster, when there is an emergency beyond the human control. For instance, most businesses were victims of force majeure during COVID. Because during COVID, there were restrictions in movement. During COVID, a lot of things changed, dynamics changed. And you will agree with me today that since COVID, we have a new normal. Life has not been the same since COVID. Most businesses today, most organizations today have their workers work from their homes. Today, a lot of people travel except when there are emergencies. Today, a lot of people online engagement meeting and signing board meetings, they are stronger today. They are enhanced today. Now, the implication is that there will be a reduction in flight movement in terms of passengers. It's also going to affect hospitality, which is hotels. It's going to affect businesses that survive around this value chain. It's going to affect them. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to be conscious of some of these changes. Companies declared force majeure during COVID because some of their targets could not be met. I'm aware that in the oil and gas sector, where we are privileged to do one or two things, there are some equipments manufacturers who could not meet up with their supply. There are some equipments today, when you place a demand, they will tell you, oh, that company closed down during COVID. They've not been able to come back after COVID. Some of those things are there. Some of those challenges are there. So what am I saying here today? You must understand that some of these changes have a way of affecting businesses. That is why the G7, some of these big countries, You see them gather in different locations talking about climate change. Climate change is a serious discourse in the global space today, among presidents, among captains of industries, among stakeholders. It's a major discourse. There are monies budgeted for climate change discussion. There are money budgeted to cope with the effect of climate change. There is a lot of research going on right now on climate change. Now the question is this: the money budgeted for climate change, somebody is being in charge of procurement, somebody is in charge of the management of those funds, somebody is in charge somehow. So some of these changes come with new opportunities. Then you think about government policies, regulatory policies. The Petroleum Industry Act today, the PIA, took a span of many years before the National Assembly could come up with that document and sign it into law. Today, that is the document that regulates the oil and gas sector in totality. We call it the PIA, the Petroleum Industry Act. Now, as soon as that act was concerted by Mr. President, it has given a definition to all the operations in the oil and gas sector. Now, whether you like it or not, that document has effect in the operations of the oil and gas sector in Nigeria. So these are some of the things that you have to be conscious of as a business person if you must scale government policies. There are government policies and regulations that when they happen, sometimes a business can go down completely. A business can go down completely when some of these government policies and government regulations are not prepared for. Ladies and gentlemen, watching me in different parts of the world, I want you to be very sensitive of this information that I'm giving you. Government policies, transitions, because you know that sometimes we don't have, when some of these things happen, a new policies come, government policies, what happens is it affects businesses, it throws up new opportunities, new business, new frontiers. Sometimes, if you are not aware of this happening, you may not know that there is opportunity out there. The next one is political ideologies and lack of continuity. There are people today who don't patronize government contracts, like me. The reason is that I know of a man who did a supply in one state. For the past close to 9 years, he's not been able to get his money. Now, you check the changes that have happened between the time he did the supply and today. First, exchange rate. What that means is that as at the time he did the supply, the exchange rate at that time is not the same as what it is today. Number two, you have to check costs. The value of those products 9 years ago is not the same as today. So when there is no consistency in political ideologies, when the incoming have to continue the projects of whoever it's is dealing with. That is one thing this administration has successfully done that I personally like. I realized that most projects that were started by the former President Buhari, most of them today are continued. Most of them today have been attended to. There are quite a number of projects done by the former government. Some of those projects today are getting traction. But mostly, lack of continuity in government has its own effect. The next one is funding and rates. Are you aware that every week people are looking at exchange rates? People are looking at exchange rates. They are looking at exchange rates. Now, why are they looking at it? Because exchange rates, rise in oil affects businesses. Whatever happens at the global scene has a way of affecting businesses. Whenever Central Bank of Nigeria want to have their MPC or MPR meeting, you see the whole market is reacting. Everybody is waiting to see the rate, the policies, some of the variables, some of the things that the Central Bank of Nigeria will come up with. Why? It impacts on businesses. Whatever decision made by Central Bank in their monthly MPC and MPR meetings, it impacts on businesses. Funding, exchange rates, it impacts on businesses. So it's important to understand, because some of the things I'm saying tonight, they are a little bit technical. But I want you to be patient, because if you must succeed in business, if you must scale in business, these are not things you must run away from. They are realities that is facing every entrepreneur, every business person and entrepreneur. These realities are confronting you. You have to tackle it. You have to be aware of them. You have to have a structure and a system to cope with transitions and changes that may occur in our nation, in every aspect of human endeavor. In as much as you need money for your business, you have to check the rate. You have to discuss some of these things. The next one is security. 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 Whether you like it or not, the security around our nation today have impacted on our business. So security is key for every business climate to be conducive for any businessman. One of the greatest blessings God has given to Nigeria is agriculture. Our land is our greatest asset. Our land is our greatest gift. But for some of these things to be productive, you see that people are willing to farm, but security is a major consideration. There are multinational companies who have left one location just because of security concerns. That is why I want to admonish, especially Nigerians, whenever you are thinking of violence, you need to know that for every violence, you are scaring a potential investor. You are creating an environment that have the capacity to scare investors, and overall has a way of affecting our gross domestic product. It has a way of affecting our per capita income. All the market forces, all the market indicators, it has a way of impacting on them. So the more peaceful environment that we have, the better business environment that we have created. So therefore, security is a major determinant of survival of businesses across the world. At the moment, there is security concern in Ukraine. I don't know an investor right now that will take his money to Ukraine. Investment in Ukraine can only return upon peace discussion and upon peace resolution between America, Russia, and Ukraine. These are business facts. Anywhere you have security concern, no matter how profitable the business is, investment and capital flow is usually very, very, very slow. As a matter of fact, if you are expecting money from outside Nigeria, I mean capital, you are expecting funding from outside the country, the company or the country you are dealing with must do what I call their risk analysis. Every country have their risk rating, the risk analysis. Now, that risk analysis is a factor, it's a key for making final investment decision. They have to look at it. Yes, we know this field is good. The API of the crude is powerful. The quantity of the gas is great. The volume, the temperature, and the flow, everything is nice. But what is going to happen? They have to check. They have to do their risk analysis. Now, no company wants their expertise being killed, their expertise being kidnapped. So, no matter how lucrative that business is, until they get their risk assessment and analysis out for the board to make a decision, usually it is tough for decision to be made. So these are fundamentals. That is why I'm talking about transition. So you need to know that security is a challenge. The next one is technological changes. Every 6 months, there are discoveries. Every 6 months, there are changes in technology. You know, there are technologies today. You know those days when computer came out. Computer used to be very big. But even this phone on my hand today, I can do a lot with it. It's a mini computer. Some of you have smartphones, but you don't have smart ideas. Please, sorry for that little technical itch. We are back now. Very sorry about that. It's part of the changes that I was talking about, the unforeseen circumstance, but thank God we are back now. Now, we stopped in technological changes. Now, technologies change. There are new technologies. There are inventions, all kind of improvement in technologies. So some of these changes have a way of affecting businesses. Yes, another thing is manpower. If you have an organization where the MD of the company resigns, whether you like it or not, it's a major change. It has a way of affecting that organization. When key people begin to leave your organization, it's a transition period for that company. Some company never recover from key players in the organizations leaving. Many organizations, many companies don't survive. So that is why whenever you are engaging any expert, there must be clear definition, there must be timeline, there must be serious discussion and modus of engagement and disengagement, so that an expert will not leave you in the middle of the ocean. So you need to know how and when, the kind of agreement when you are hiring experts. When certain people leave your organization, I tell you, it has a way of affecting that organization. Now, while we continue, I want to know your name, where you are watching from, where you are connecting with us from, and also I want you to ask questions. I want you to get back to me with your questions. You can type it and send to me some of the things you have gained or you want that is a concern to you concerning this topic. Because this is a very serious discourse. So I need to know your location, where you are calling from. I need to know what question you are asking. So this is very fundamental. Then number 8, another transition that you need to look at for is competition. When another company rises to do what you are already doing, it means you have a competitor. It means you have a competitor. So therefore, competition is key. Competition is something you look out for. Because when you are not prepared for transition, your competitor can chase you out of the market. As a matter of fact, your competitor wants you to be extinguished from the market. So you need to understand that whatever you are doing, someone can come up with a better idea, better product that may be a threat to your existence. There are products that can come up doing exactly what you are doing. You now begin to have existential threat. So you need to understand that transition can happen in form of people doing exactly what you are doing. That is very important. Another change that may occur is raw material. Now, whatever you depend on to run your organization, when you can no longer get them when you should get them, when there are changes after COVID, many organizations closed down because they couldn't access some of the raw materials they depended on to be able to produce what they needed. So that is very important. So you need to understand how some of these things work. Raw materials. That is why you must be ahead of your clients. You must be ahead of everybody. You must always have a backup plan. As a business person, you must always have a backup plan. You must always have an alternative that you need to switch to in case there is a problem, in case there is a challenge. Your company, your organization must have a backup plan. The last thing I'm going to be looking at on this chart right now is litigation. I have always advised the court process is a very long journey. As a business person, whatever you can do as a businessman, as a businesswoman, whatever you can do to settle outside the courtroom is usually the best approach, because sometimes litigation has a way of affecting business. When people hear that your brand is in court, no matter how you look at it, it sends a negative signal to the general public. So therefore, it's important that whenever there is a disagreement, whenever there is anything that is not going the way you should go, it's always for both parties to always sit down, iron out their differences, and devise a means to go forward. It's always the best to settle out of court. Now, there are many businesses today that have not been able to make progress because of litigation. No matter how you look at it, sometimes I saw a judgment on a case that started 9 years ago. 9 years ago is now that the judge is delivering judgment. 9 years is too much time for a businessman. 9 years is a long time for a brand. So one of the transitions and the changes that you may have to deal with can be litigation. So litigation is more serious than you may consider. It's more serious than you may look at it. You have to hire lawyers, and most time lawyers like going to court. They will tell you, oh, we have a good case. We have a good case. Now, it's not whether you have a good case or you don't have a good case. The point is, if you can settle your cases out of court, both parties sit down, find a common ground, and forge ahead. It's usually the best option for me. So, another unforeseen circumstance is litigation. A number of cases are piled up in different courts. In 1 year, you may have only 4 adjournments, and that is not healthy for business. So having said this, I want to get your questions. I want you to send in your questions, and let us begin to attend to your questions right now. So with some of these things that we have shared, very comprehensive, some of the transitions, some of the changes that are likely to occur to change the dynamics of your business and transaction, we have been able to enumerate them. Some force majeure, nobody saw COVID coming, climate change, government policies, regulatory policies. Some of these things, as simple as they look, they directly impact on our businesses. So I want you to send in your questions right now so we can look at it. Wherever you are watching this broadcast, listening to this broadcast, I want you after now to go back, settle down, listen to them again. Some of the things I said are very powerful. They will help your decision. They are very, 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 very powerful. Very, very, very powerful. So we need to look at it. We have our first question from Lagos. My name is Jude from Lagos. I had some changes and it seemed to be affecting my business today. What can I do? Well, if I can get specifics of the kind of changes that occurred and exactly what it is, my advice will be better. So telling me you have some changes, that look vague for me. If you can, highlight, the changes, that will really, really, really be good. Yes, so I would like to know the kind of changes that you are talking about so that we can give you the necessary advice as may be required. So Jude, let me know exactly what you're talking about. Then we'll be able to look at it. Do I have to embrace every change, sir? For example, do I need to go full digital in publicity because I focus more on contacts? You don't need to embrace changes. You make provision to be relevant in changes. The issue here is to build a brand that is conscious of transition in technology, conscious of transition and changes that may occur. Now, when you have this mindset, when changes happen, it is very easy for you to make decision. You have a backup plan that no matter what happened, you will be able. While I was doing this broadcast, we had challenge with the light system. Quickly, there was a backup plan which was planned out before this program started to be able to make sure that whatever happened, there is a comeback. That's why I'm able to come back. If there was no backup plan, that time we had the challenge of light, that would have been the end of this program. But from beginning, it was planned out. So what happened with transition and changes is for you to know. And when you know, you Mr. Peter, when you know, you plan for it. So no change or transition takes you by surprise. The government can change its laws. Exchange rate can change. Technology can change. Nobody is going to abandon the old technology. But for business sense, when a new technology becomes better, everybody goes for it. That's the way it works. I'm a 21-year-old from South Africa. I want to start a fast food business. So now I don't have the fund. Should I look for someone who will split the equity, and it's better for me to save and start? You have just answered the question yourself. You have an idea to start business. You have idea already. First of all, do your feasibility study. Find out what it takes. Then do your risk analysis. What are the likely risks that are in this business? Now, for a restaurant business, one of your greatest risks is personnel. Most of those people who you are going to engage to cook the food and serve, how long are they going to stay? Because when you start the business and the food is good, and the people who are the brain behind that good meal relocate from where they are or change jobs, how do you sustain it? What it means in a restaurant business or food business, I must have multiple cooks. It cannot be one person. So when one person misbehaves, I must always have a backup plan, because I'm not going to tell my customers and demand that, look, my cook traveled. So you do your risk analysis and check, and those things will help you make powerful decisions. Then my name is Paul Aibuedefe from Benin City, Nigeria. My question is, what are the key factors to note in order to build a business model that can in both booms and downturns? What are the key factors that you get in your feasibility study? As you do your feasibility study, most of these questions can be answered. But for me, the first question you need to answer, if I'm building a business model, the first question I will answer, the first question that should be on that your analysis, who needs my product? Who needs my product? Who is the user of this product? You need to ask yourself question, this product that I'm going to go into, who is going to buy it? Because until somebody buys your product, you are not in business. Until somebody pays for your product, you are not in business. It is the payment for that product that puts you in business. Then number two, who else is doing what I'm trying to do? Because for you to be in the market, it means you have to improve on what somebody else is doing. If you do the same thing that everybody else is doing, you are not going to be in business. So you need to find out what they are doing to be able to know what areas you need to improve. Hallelujah. So you need to understand who is doing my business, find out who is buying my business, the market structure. Now, the market structure is key, because you cannot produce a business that you have not determined the buyer. I am Rita from Abuja. I am into solar energy. It seems to be everywhere and seems to be very competitive, sir. How do I get my brown? Outstanding. By solar is everywhere does not mean everybody is doing a good job. Maintain quality. You have to maintain solid quality base. People come back to you because of quality. People come back to you because of quality. How do you protect your business from competitors? You just do your own and make sure that you have an edge. What you do is to make sure that you have an edge. That is how to protect your business. So, well, this is how far we can go on today's broadcast. I want to remind you that we have 7 days to the long-awaited Passover. Passover is an annual conference that we do in Rock of Ages Christian Assembly. Passover, if you are coming from diaspora, from South Africa, I'm inviting you from South Africa. I'm inviting you from South Africa. I'm inviting you from Zambia. I'm inviting you from Ghana. I have Pastor Reverend Samuel Olubiyo. I have Apostle Michael Urukpo. I have my own wife, Pastor Debbie Osazuwa. I have Pastor David Oyerikpo Jr. and I have Pastor Chris Ogari. On Saturday is going to be praise, M&M Revelation, Osas Cliff, B-Day-Me, and quite a number of others. We are excited. It's the biggest event in this part. It's one meeting that you cannot afford to miss. It's called the Week of Passover. So get ready for it. It's an exciting conference. It's an exciting meeting. It's one meeting that you will not forget in a hurry. The Lord bless you. The Lord bless you. The Lord bless you. In course of this meeting, I'm going to be having meeting with business people on Tuesday. I'm going to be having meeting single and married on Wednesday. Then pastors on Thursday. Pastor Apostle Mike Urukpo is going to join me on that pastors conference. Then on Friday is Mother and Father of Nation. Those that are trusting God for the fruit of the womb. We are going to be releasing those prophetic words upon them. It's going to be an outpour of God's Spirit. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. God bless you. Shalom.